Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. It is Monday Fun Day. Monday Fun Day. Thank you so much. All right. Do me a favor. Do me a huge favor. Please hit the share button on this. No matter how you're watching this or listening to this, please like, follow, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. All right. So while we're getting people to join us here, let me make sure everything is kosher here. Everything is in order here. All right, we're looking good, looking good. All right, cool. So, have you heard the news? The Biden administration got, I guess this is Biden's, not Biden's, Osama bin Laden. Let me just say it like that. Osama bin Laden's second man. So he comes out on the telly and he's like celebrating that he got the second man. He's like, and he does that whole whisper thing. We will find you. I mean, who does that? I mean, is that supposed to mean like you're really tough and scary? I mean, everyone knows that he's weak and he's trying to act like he's a tough guy, trying to come out saying that we got the second guy. He gave the order for the drone strike. I'm like, okay, do it. And you know what? I'm not saying that he didn't get the guy, but at the same time, I'm entitled to question it, right? And you know what? If he did get him, he's a bad guy. Kudos. But this kind of comes on the heels of what's happening in Taiwan and with Nancy Pelosi going over to Taiwan and with China talking about Nancy Pelosi better not go. You know, this kind of makes me think, like, Zach, what's the motive here? Is this a deflect? Like, look, we're strong. We can get the bad guy, right? No, I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that. Okay, so you got a bad guy. So what? What does that mean? Because you're still weak. You're still giving China. You're still giving them. You're still taking what it appears to be that you're taking orders from them, and Nancy Pelosi's not. But I'm gonna bring you to something. I've been thinking about this, and actually, I have a clip that I want to share with you that kind of like proves what I was thinking. You know how we went into war with Russia via Ukraine, a proxy war. It's like they're trying to do the same thing with Taiwan, and I've been saying this. It's like because Taiwan is the same scenario. Right. And they're saying that Taiwan is, they don't have their independence. The United States of America don't recognize their independence. Literally saying it. We always kind of knew that they were thinking that way, and they've mentioned it before. But now they're just coming right out and saying it, that they don't have their independence. And, so if China decides to do it, then China will do it. So what is the United States of America going to do? China has put a really harsh warning out to the United States of America, telling the United States of America, do not allow Nancy Pelosi to travel to Taiwan because it would be considered an invasion. I've talked about it last weekend, or not last weekend, last Friday. Talked about it. And now, as many reports are coming out there, we don't know exactly. I wish we could have, maybe some video will come out from it or whatever. But, there's been reports saying that Nancy Pelosi has landed, and we don't know. We're not there. So she could come back and lie to all of us and say that she did, and China be like, no, they never did, but they will block that information from getting to us anyways. Saying that she never showed up, and she can come on there and lie to say that she did. But listen to Joe Brandon here as he's talking about the terrorist that he got. Bin Laden's second guy, and watch how he does the whispering. Let's watch this.
Make it clear again tonight that no matter how long it takes, no matter where you hide, if you are a threat to our people, the United States will find you and take you out.
You see how you go? No matter where you are, we're going to find you and take you out. Who's taking him serious? Does he look like a tough guy to you? I'm just asking the question.
After relentlessly seeking Zawahiri for years under Presidents Bush, Obama, and Trump, our intelligence community located Zawahiri earlier this year. He had moved to downtown Kabul to reunite with members of his immediate family. After carefully considering the clear and convincing evidence of his location, I authorized a precision strike that would remove him from the battlefield once and for all. This mission was carefully planned, rigorously minimized the risk of harm to other civilians. And 1 week ago, after being advised that the conditions were optimal, I gave the final approval to go get him. And the mission was a success. None of his family members were hurt, and there were no civilian casualties.
But he just said he did it in a downtown area. So is there any footage of it? Can we see the drone strike? Can we? I'm asking the question because if he said that he reunited with family members, was he alone when they hit the drone strike? I'm just asking the question here. Think about what he just said. So was he walking down the street by himself? And then they decided to do it. Was he in the building? Did they make sure no one was in the building? How did they do that? If he's there meeting with family and then none of his family members and no civilian casualties, but yet he's in a populated area and they do a drone strike. So I guess the drone strike was maybe a little rocket this big and it just flew down there and got him. Maybe that's the case because they do have technology. Okay, moving on. Listen to Blinken as he talked about Nancy Pelosi going overseas. And you know what? He's going to literally pretty much say it here. Nancy Pelosi has her own branch of the government. So she doesn't have to listen to Joe Biden. She doesn't have to listen to the Supreme Court because she has her own branch of the federal government, right? There's 3 branches of the federal government and she controls one of them, being the House representative, leader of the House. So she doesn't have to listen to anybody. She can just do whatever she wants. Listen to what he says.
With regard to Taiwan, first, the Speaker will make her own decisions about whether or not to visit Taiwan. Congress is an independent, co-equal branch of government. The decision is entirely the Speaker's. What I can say is this.
So y'all heard it, right? Y'all heard it. The entire decision is entirely hers. So she can say, well, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it. It kind of it brings back memory about when during the State of the Union with President Trump, she just ripped it up. Now, if anybody else did that, they probably call the sergeant at arms to come arrest them. But she's just acting on whatever she wants to do. So I have a video that I'm going to show you and prove to you what they're trying to do to this country. And I've said it so many times. I've said it so many times that the left, they literally want to destroy this nation. If they can't control you and I, if they can't control the United States of America and they can't take it down the demonic path that they want to, they're willing to, I'm telling you, I'm willing to bet that they're willing to destroy America. But listen, watch this, watch the rest of this, and then I have that video for you. Listen.
This is very much precedent in the sense that previous speakers visited Taiwan. Many members of Congress go to Taiwan, including this year. And so if the speaker does decide to visit and China tries to create some kind of crisis or otherwise escalate tensions, that would be entirely on Beijing.
Okay, first of all, China it's not that they tried to. China's already put the warning out there. There's video with the leaders in China saying, you know what, y'all don't do it. Biden to his face. President Xi from China told Biden to his face via YouTube or via Skype or Zoom, however they're doing it, to his face, though, that you better not play with fire. So Biden told Nancy Pelosi, don't go, don't go, don't go. I've been told to tell you not to go. But Nancy Pelosi is like, I can do my own thing. And the next clip that I have for you, remember right before Ukraine popped off with Russia, you remember Ukraine was asking to become a part of NATO, or they were even asking at that point. I don't think they were asking. But anyways, Russia, Putin said, if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, we will invade. So I think it was not too long after that, Kamala Harris, with all her wisdom, went over there and said that we're going to try to make Ukraine part of NATO. And then Russia invaded right after that. Do y'all remember? I'm going to prove it to you tonight. Listen to the rest of this, and then I'm going to show you that video, what I'm talking about.
We are looking for them, in the event she decides to visit, to act responsibly and not to engage in any escalation going forward.
Going forward. See, they're trying to act like they're trying to de-escalate everything. You know, I'm sitting there talking to my producer, and I'm thinking, could we be at war with China before the end of this week? Could it be in a couple of days? How is she there right now? Right? I mean, what's happening? And if that's the case, and China's already put the threat out there to the United States of America saying, hey, if you cross this line, you're going to regret it. And they said, just wait and see. Because people are asking, well, what is China going to do? China said, wait and see. So a lot of people think that this is just a deflection, right? People thinking that they're using this whole China thing, that Beijing, Biden, China Joe is doing this with China to deflect from other things. Personally, I don't think so. What's happening here, in my personal opinion, and I don't have any issues being wrong, but this is the way I see it. Beijing, Biden, China Joe has been doing all this corruption with China, and they've been dealing with China, and it looks like China is controlling Biden and members of Congress. But at the same time, they're doing this with Taiwan, with Nancy Pelosi, like they're literally trying to take us into war. And the reason why I said that is because they want to destroy the United States of America. That's what it comes down to. They want to destroy the greatest nation on the earth. And I told y'all before, President Trump, when he was in office, he's constantly saying America first. We all know right now that the left, they are saying America last. And on top of that, they hate nationalism. That's what it all comes down to. They're talking about nationalism is the bad thing now. Like if you want to put America first, if you say America first, or if you say make America great again, you're a nationalist. That's a bad thing. But let me show you. This was Tucker. Listen to what Tucker says here, because he actually lays it out. Talking about where Kamala Harris is going, how she went over to Ukraine, and then all of a sudden we were in war with Russia via the proxy of Ukraine, because she said they're going to make them part of NATO. She kicked it off. Now it's almost like Nancy Pelosi's about to kick it off with China and Taiwan. You can't make this stuff up. Listen to what Tucker says here. And this is kind of lengthy, but all of this is so impactful. It's so full of information. Listen.
Humiliating moment in American foreign policy since the fall of Saigon in April of 1975. There are a lot of ways to pull out of Afghanistan. Biden chose a path that seemed designed to inflict maximum damage to the interests of the United States. He did that. Kind of no debating it. But Biden is not ashamed of it. He wasn't ashamed of it then. He's not ashamed of it now. Tonight, Biden gave a speech boasting that he's killed an al-Qaeda figure in Afghanistan. Great. Feel safer? Of course you don't. Nobody does. And the reason nobody feels safer is Biden's response to the disaster in Afghanistan. Rather than pause and learn from it, maybe fire the people responsible for it, not simply the self-destructive withdrawal from Afghanistan, but also the pointless 20-year war there, rather than do any of that like a normal person would do, Biden immediately set off in another direction, provoking yet another conflict, this one in Eastern Europe. And he provoked it. They lie about it, but it's true. The facts are out there, and it's very obvious. So just days after the Russian government announced yet again that if Ukraine joined NATO didn't even want Ukraine to join, but if Ukraine were to join NATO, then the Russian army would invade Ukraine.
Y'all hear this? Do y'all even remember that? Remember, because she went over there. Listen to what he says, because this is so important. This is going to, it's like they're repeating the exact same thing they did during Ukraine, right before it popped off. And then that next thing you know, the gas prices are going to go back up and everything's going to go up, and they're going to blame China. Listen.
So days after they said this for like the 50th time in a row, Kamala Harris arrived at the Munich Security Conference and publicly, reading from a script, called for Ukraine to join NATO. She read the words. They were written by someone at the State Department, so they knew exactly what they were doing when they did it. They wanted a war with Russia, and now we have one. We're not winning that war, by the way. The main American casualty so far has been our economy, which is dying. So what was the point of this exercise? Maybe someday they will tell us. But we don't have time to think about it because now we have yet another potential war to contend with. And it comes in Asia. Just what we need. This week, with the blessing of the Biden administration, Nancy Pelosi decided to head to Taiwan. That's all but confirmed at this point. Government officials in Taipei have just been notified that Pelosi's arrival is imminent. She may be in the air right now. She's definitely coming, one source told the Wall Street Journal. The only variable is whether she spends the night. So Nancy Pelosi goes to Taipei. What's the effect of that? Well, we don't need to guess. The Chinese government has said repeatedly and clearly that if Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan, it could trigger a global war. Watch.
A Chinese spokesperson said there would be serious consequences for the visit, over the weekend conducting military drills at sea.
If House Speaker Pelosi insists on visiting Taiwan, China will take resolute and strong measures to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Are they bluffing? It doesn't sound like it, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that they are bluffing, because if Nancy Pelosi shows up there and they don't do anything, the world's going to be saying, well, China's weak. China didn't do anything, and China don't want to look like a pushover. And a lot of people keep thinking, well, Beijing, Biden, China, Joe, and China are working together to make it look like something. And you know what? I'm not buying no conspiracy theories. I'm not going down that road. I'm not going to. I think with it, like my opinion, and it's not even conspiracy theory, because they want to destroy America. And you know what? And Tucker even elaborates on it. Listen.
A representative of Chinese state media said this, quote, if U.S. fighter jets escort Pelosi's plane into Taiwan, it is an invasion. The Chinese army has the right to forcibly dispel Pelosi's plane and the U.S. fighter jets, including firing warning shots and making tactical movement of obstruction. If ineffective, then shoot them down.
You know, I did a short video talking about that. I talked about that. And listen, listen to this. Listen.
Oh, shoot them down. Okay. So the White House naturally was asked about this. We're suddenly on the brink of yet another global war, potentially a nuclear war, because Nancy Pelosi has been given the green light by the White House to fly to Taiwan. So what's the White House view of this? Listen.
An official who is associated with Chinese state media is suggesting that if Speaker Pelosi tries to go to Taiwan, her plane could be shot down. Does the president have a response to that?
Now listen to her response here, because the question is about her plane being shot down. And just like everything else, Karine Jean-Pierre, I like saying it like that because that's how Tucker does it. She's going to deflect like she always, every single time. Listen.
You know, I've been asked about, I know you're asking specifically about the rhetoric that we're hearing from China, but as it relates to the speaker's travels, it's something that we're just not going to speak to. Right now, that's a hypothetical.
What about them putting the threat out there to shoot a plane down? That's the question. They didn't ask you about her travels. We already know that she's traveling. It's already been leaked. And I'm wondering who leaked it. You know, I don't think anyone's asking that question. Who leaked the information that she's traveling and she's possibly going to Taiwan? Seriously, I want to know. But she didn't even answer the question. No, the question was they threatened to shoot the plane down.
It doesn't seem like a big deal to put dumb people in positions of authority. Oh, we're helping them out. She's breaking ceilings. Okay, got it. Until something terrible goes wrong, which inevitably happens when you're running the biggest country in the world. That's a hypothetical, says Karine Jean-Pierre, even though, of course, it's the opposite of a hypothetical. There's nothing hypothetical about it. China has repeatedly threatened to shoot down the plane carrying America's Speaker of the House, third in line from the presidency. And yet no one seems to think this is a big deal.
Why not? That's the question, right? Why is it not a big deal? Maybe they're changing the definition of a threat. You know, just like they changed the definition of a recession. Like they changed the definition of what a woman is. Like they changed the definition of a boy and a girl. Like they changed the definition of everything that they don't want people to pay attention to. Maybe that has something to do with it. A threat is a threat. That's what it is.
This is one of the weirdest moments in the weirdest presidency in American history. The Biden administration is provoking a hot war with China, which by itself would seem to be headline news. But why? It might make a kind of sense if Biden had been a China hawk over the course of his career, if he wasn't taking money from the Chinese government, which he has. But of course, he's the opposite of a China hawk. He is a toady to China. Since the day Biden was elected, he has helped the Chinese government in ways that no American president has ever even contemplated. A partial list. The administration helped cover up the origins of COVID, even after it became very clear that this global pandemic, which wrecked the American economy, was created by the Chinese military. But we can't mention that because it's racist. Then the White House shut down a counter-espionage program designed to stop Chinese spying, which is endemic in the United States. Then Biden dropped tariffs against Chinese goods. Then he refused to do anything to move critical manufacturing back to the United States. And at the same time, he's literally selling our strategic oil reserves to China in the middle of a domestic energy crisis. And by the way, handing our entire energy grid over to the government of China.
How does any of this make sense, right? It's just like I was telling y'all. He's like, you're doing all this. Maybe the goal is to destroy the United States of America. That's the only explanation I can think of. Maybe you have one that's better than mine. Leave me a comment below. I really want to know. But listen what Tucker says here. Like I told you, this is kind of lengthy, but this was packed full of information. Listen.
And then, to top it off, today, the Pentagon spokesman, John Kirby, who acts as the White House spokesman, all of a sudden, for some reason, said this, quote, "We do not support Taiwan independence." When was the last time a White House said that? No, they don't say that. Now they are saying it. We don't think Taiwan's its own country. Okay. So on every level, meaningfully on the policy levels that matter, Biden has been more pro-China than any president. And yet, listen to what he says here. And yet, China Joe, why do you think they call him China Joe? Beijing Biden. And yet, listen. He seems to want a war with China now. This does not make any sense at all. In fact, it only makes sense if the Biden White House is intentionally trying to weaken and destroy the United States.
There it is. Even Tucker, I'm telling you, it's like, and I've been saying this before, they want to destroy this country. And you know what? It's not even like an epiphany, right? All of y'all have seen the same thing. Everyone is watching this right now. Y'all have been seeing the same thing. But for it to get to this point, and like I mentioned earlier, are we going to be at war with China by the end of the week? Maybe tomorrow. When we wake up tomorrow, what does tomorrow look like? What's going to be the headline news? What's going to be the story? What's going to be the outcome? Is she actually going? Did she go? If she did go, would they let the information out? China would know, right? What's China going to do?
There's no other logical explanation for what we're seeing now. And in fact, the template is very familiar. What's happening in China looks very much like what happened in Ukraine earlier this year. The administration sends the least capable possible emissary to a flashpoint in a faraway part of the world in order to provoke a violent response. Then it was
bingo.
It was Kamala Harris, who was an international joke, the last person you would send to negotiate any kind of peaceful settlement to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But they sent her anyway. She exacerbated it, and they got what they wanted, which was an invasion of Ukraine and a war with Russia, which is what they wanted. Now they're sending Nancy Pelosi. And not to be mean, but like Joe Biden, Nancy
not to be mean, but like Joe Biden, listen to what he says about Nancy Pelosi here. And it's 100% true. And you know what, Tucker? Tucker is not being mean. You know, they try to say Tucker's racist and they try to say he's mean. He's not. He's not. He knows how to trigger these stupid liberals. But listen what he says.
And not to be mean, but like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi is senile. Don't believe it? You probably don't see her speak very often. We're going to treat you. Here's Nancy Pelosi's explanation for why she is going to Taiwan.
The president earlier in his term, talked about a strong emphasis on the Asian Pacific. He has visited there, the Vice President has visited there, the Secretary of Commerce and others, and we want the Congress of the United States to be part of that initiative. Of course, as a West Coast person, we see the Pacific as that's our home. We're part of that as well. That is not to diminish the importance of our transatlantic relationships as well. But I'm very excited. Should we go to the countries that you'll be hearing about along the way?
I told y'all it was lengthy. So I'm asking everybody, if you haven't already, get ready. I mean, because we don't know. We don't know when the next storm is going to hit, the earthquake or hurricane or tornado. We don't know, right? We don't know what these people, when it's going to pop off, if it's going to pop off. I think if it's just a matter of time. But we don't know when. So you need to start getting ready for your family and just get ready. It's better to be prepared than not be, because there's going to be millions upon millions of people that's not going to be prepared for what they're about to do. It's the same thing. The exact same thing that they did with Ukraine. They're doing it with China and Taiwan. Same thing, Ukraine and Russia. It's the exact same. It's just on the other side. It's just on the other side now. And a lot of people are thinking like, well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, you know what? I'm so with you. I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. But I'm not going to be like one of those people and say, I'm just going to ignore it. Like, you know what? Let me just go watch something else because I don't want to pay attention to that. We're on the verge of going into nuclear war. Literally. Not just making up and say possibly, right? Literally, if they do this, it could possibly go down that path. Let me put this up on the screen for you. This is coming out of China right now. This is coming out of China. This is just here recently. Listen, or you won't be listening unless you want to read along. But it says, if the House Representative Speaker Nancy Pelosi goes to Taiwan, this is what they're saying there. This is from The Guardian. It would be a gross interference in China's internal affairs, seriously undermining China's sovereignty to territorial integrity. So basically, they're saying, do not come. Won't only seriously threaten peace and stability in Taiwan Strait. And seriously damage China-U.S. relations. Leading to a very serious development and consequences. Now, these people aren't playing. And like I said, I don't think it's just for a show. I don't think they're doing this to like China Joe, to make China Joe look good or something. I don't think so, because the rest of the world is going to look at China like they are a problem. So we would like to tell the United States once again that China is standing by. Y'all remember when President Trump told a particular group, stand down, stand by, and the entire left went completely ballistic? Y'all remember that? They're not saying, are they saying, what are they saying about this? Says the Chinese People Liberation Army will never sit idly by. And that the China will take resolute response and strong countermeasures to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. So it repeats there. So again, my question is, what's going to happen by the end of this week? Are we going to end up with war with China? I mean, I don't want to. I pray that we don't. But it's not looking good. They did the exact same playbook. Kamala Harris did it with Ukraine, kicked off that war. And now it looks like Nancy Pelosi is going to do the same thing with China and Taiwan. Kick off that war. And with the military already being spread thin, the way that the Democrats, they hate the military, and now they're trying to act like they're all for the vets. Y'all seen that? Trying to act like they're all for the vets, but the information that they don't put out there is what the Democrats have tacked onto the bill that has nothing to do with the vets. Nothing to do with it. Let me get to another topic that I've talked about for the past 2 to 3 years, if not longer. It's probably about 4 years. I've always been saying, for all of y'all that's been watching my videos, you've constantly hear me talk about them attacking Christianity, coming after Christians. You've heard me mention that multiple times. And the reason why they actually don't say Christians, they've been saying that the problem in the country are primarily white people. Y'all have heard this multiple times, not just from me. They're constantly doing it. You know, at one point they were saying the straight white male is the biggest problem. And now they're saying the white Republican, MAGA Republican are the major problem. But now they're coming out talking about Christian nationalism as if it is a major problem. Did you know being a nationalist is completely okay? You can be a nationalist. I'm a nationalist. I put America first. My website is Unite America First. So there's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. They're trying to make it be bad. Listen to the eunuch, Brian Stelter. He coined the term, Tucker called him a eunuch. So anyways, listen to what he says about Christianity.
And this segment is not about most of them. This segment is about the rise of a white Christian nationalist movement in the U.S. It's emerging in the news more and more. You're probably hearing the term Christian nationalism more and more. Here is one expert's definition. Quote,
one expert. One expert. What makes them the expert? Because it's giving them what they want.
Christian nationalism is the belief that the American nation is defined by Christianity and that the government should take active steps to keep it that way. Many observers feel that would threaten a diverse democracy, healthy democracy in the U.S. We are seeing some Republican politicians in the U.S. embrace the term Christian nationalism. For example, Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day, doubling down on past comments. She tweeted, "Christian nationalism is what this nation needs." Lauren Boebert said she's tired of the U.S. separation of church and state.
Again, there's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. But now they're saying Christian nationalist is a major problem. They're saying Christian nationalists, and they're doing this because they want to target white people along with it. Before it was just white people. Now they're bringing Christian nationalism because they don't want people to believe that they're Christian and a nationalist. Like you're going to put you know what? If you're a Christian, if you're a strong Christian, for me, I'm a Christian first. I'm a Christian first. I believe in God. Now listen to this.
I think a lot of viewers are hearing Christian nationalism more and more. What is it?
Christian nationalism is basically the idea that America was founded as a so-called Christian nation.
You hear a so-called Christian nation. Are you kidding me? We all know that this is a Judeo-Christian nation, but she said a so-called Christian nation? Really? See, this again right here just completely proves how these people do not care about the facts, care about the past, care about this country. They want to do away with Christianity. If they can't do away with it, they want to change the definition like everything else.
Our laws should be based on the Bible, and supposedly right-thinking believers need to reclaim America's past. It's also
that what heals the country will be saved through religion. Why do you say that's so dangerous?
Well, it's dangerous because it's a radically anti-democratic ideology.
You hear this? What they're basically saying is that Christianity is radical thinking. People, wars, we have wars and rumors of wars, famine and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, and the persecution of Christianity is already happening all over the planet, and it's about to come to America if they have it their way. I don't want them to succeed. That's the reason why I'm talking about it, that hopefully we can bring awareness to get people to, not physically, but fight against this when it comes time to support the correct person that you need to support.
It rejects the principles of pluralism and equality that represent the best of the American promise. The movement, it's not just an ideology, it's also an organized quest for political power.
Listen to this.
Power is the key word here.
That's right. It's a political movement. And this movement has built up a lot of different, sort of a dense organizational infrastructure over decades that includes right-wing policy groups, legal advocacy groups, networking initiatives that get the leadership on the same page.
Supreme Court justices?
Supreme Court justices. So one of the problems is we're hearing a lot about the 6 Supreme Court justices, conservative justices on the Supreme Court, but we don't hear enough about the Federalist Society, which is an organization that plays an outsized role in shaping our courts. All 6 conservative members of the Supreme Court are current or have current or former ties to the Federalists.
So now they have an issue with Supreme Court justices being Christian. If the Democrats get their way, and see, I've talked about this so many times, if the Democrats get their way, they'll stack the courts and they'll make sure everyone that they put on the court is not a Christian. That's what this country, this nation was founded, Judeo-Christianity, based on that. And that's why I constantly said, like, the U.S. Constitution is the second greatest document known to man. The second greatest document, the first one being the Holy Bible. And why do you think, and then they go, well, why do you think they're talking about Christian nationalism all of a sudden? Well, the reason why they're talking about it, because they're putting their beliefs first. You know, your beliefs come before the government. You get to believe your God-given rights, and these people want to take your God-given rights away. They don't even hide it any longer. Listen.
Why is it in the news more now? Why are these lawmakers suddenly using these terms and in some cases embracing this idea?
Well, I think...
Okay, embracing this idea. Again, being a Christian nationalism, what is the problem with being a Christian nationalism? Meaning that you put your Christianity first before anything. Right? They don't say it when it comes to other particular groups. You know what I'm talking about? They don't say anything to them, but when it comes to Christianity, that's when they have the problem.
Trump actually threw open the doors to leaders of this movement. It's a leadership-driven movement. It's not defined by the attitudes of the rank and file. Those attitudes are actually shaped by the leadership of the movement. Yeah.
Did you hear this? So she's associating, she just did it on the Communist News Network. She's associating President Trump with Christianity. See, President Trump, anything that's President Trump, and they associate him with Christianity, with President Trump is just a man. He's just a man. But they're associating with him saying it's bad for you to be a Christian and a Trump supporter. That means you're a nationalist. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. They're trying to change the definition.
They offered them unprecedented political access, offered them, of course, the justices they wanted. Leaders of the movement, listen, this is a movement that represents a minority of our country. Most American Christians reject the politics of conquest and division that this movement represents.
Right, that is a key point. I often think that American news outlets need to have more dedicated religion reporters, to have more coverage of religion. How would you encourage news outlets to cover this topic of Christian nationalism?
Well, I think there's a lot of focus on this as a sort of people cast it as about theology or about the culture wars. So we get a lot of stories from the pews and we get a lot of stories from kitchen tables of the rank and file. But we don't get enough stories about how the rank and file have been activated to act in interests of the movement leadership. This is,
you know what? They want people to come in and change what it is to be a Christian. I don't know how else to get people to recognize the times that we're living in. And I've mentioned this so many times in the past. I want to be selfish. I want to become a grandfather one day, have some kids, sugar them up and send them home and have the parents complain. Why'd you give them so much sugar? Right? But I haven't gotten to that point. And what was happening in China was still happening in Russia. And listen, the left, 2 weeks after the Ukraine-Russia popped off, the liberal media was saying that Putin is weak. Putin is throwing stuff in his office like they have direct access. They were saying he was weak. He was losing and he was frustrated. They were saying that 2 weeks. How long has it been going on now? How long have Russia been occupying Ukraine? And how much more money are we going to send to Ukraine that's going to be endless war? Pointless. Russia's already occupied the parts that they really were trying to get in the first place. Now they're just, everything else is just bonus. Everything else is bonus. Now we're getting ready to go into war. This is wars and rumors of wars. It's happening. This thing is real. It's happening. You and I, we are the generation that's seen these things happen, seen it take place. And again, like I was saying, I was talking to my producer and wondering, what is tomorrow going to look like? What does tomorrow look like? What happens between now and tomorrow? What's happening right now? Does anyone have any video footage of Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan? Does anyone have any footage of it? Right? Because they said they would even shoot the plane down. They said they would shoot the plane down. All right. We're here at the end. Hey, I want to thank you so much for not being afraid to hit the share button on this. Thank you so much. Get the information out. I really do appreciate it. Let me say thank you to a few people for our bounce. And thank you so much for the PayPal. Lori, thank you so much for the Cash App. Lori, she's awesome. She's one of my mods. Kathy, thank you for the stars. Laurel, thank you for the stars as well. Adam, thank you so much for the stars. You know what? You're blessing me with these stars and the Cash App and the Venmo. All of this helps me continue to bring you information and continue to work. Thank you so much. Michelle, thank you for the stars. Sam, thank you so much as well. Michelle, thank you for the stars. Lisa, thank you. Amanda, thank you for the stars. Wow. Tracy, thank you for the stars. Taylor, thank you for the stars. Tyler. Rita, thank you for the stars. Sherry, thank you for the stars. Cal, thank you for the stars. Jordan, thank you. And then Lou, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And we got a super chat. Yep, super chat. Thank you, Lou. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Get prayed. If you haven't already, you got to get ready for your family. Get ready. Get ready. You got to get ready. Denora? Hey, Denora, thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. God bless everybody. Thank you for sharing this. Be safe. Get in prayer. Get in prayer. We'll see what tomorrow holds. God bless.